What's up, world? Welcome to the Big City Gardener YouTube channel. If this is your first time here, I appreciate you joining us. If it's not your first time here and you subscribe, thank you very much for subscribing to the channel. If you are not already subscribed, please take a moment, pause the video, subscribe to this channel. Why? Well, because I want the world to be a greener place and I want everybody to get as much gardening knowledge as possible. So, without further ado, let's get straight to it. This is part one. What is Bokashi composting? Bokashi composting is a way where you are able to basically pre-ferment or pre-compost materials so that you're then able to add them directly to your soil or add them to your compost bin. Now, Bokashi composting, unlike typical composting, now I'm talking about tumblers or vermicomposting or open composting, whatever it may be, okay? When you think about composting, I know a lot of people, if they were to close their eyes and imagine, and I say, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when I talk about composting? I know a lot of people picture or they envision a massive pile full of food scraps, full of greens, full of dirt that might even be visited by pests in the night, right? But that is not what Bokashi composting is. There's a complete difference, okay? Those forms of composting that I mentioned, they are aerobic, meaning that they need oxygen in order for the decomposition process to begin and actually work, okay? And on top of that, they're actually decomposing the materials, breaking them down. With Bokashi composting, that's not really the case, okay? With Bokashi composting, what we are doing is basically fermenting the materials. We are pre-composting these materials so that whenever we add them to a compost bin, whether it be a open compost bin, whether it be a vermicompost bin, or whether it's we add it directly to the soil, it has already been inoculated with certain bacteria, with certain microbes, to where this whole decomposition process will now be sped up. Okay, if you think about it, when it comes to composting, it can take months for things to break down. Okay, that's because it has the whole decomposition process. It has to heat up to a certain temperature. You need to have the right microbes. You need to have the right bacteria and fungi. You even need to have the whole soil food web present within your compost bin so that things are able to decompose. But with Bokashi composting, that is not the case. Bokashi composting is basically you take an airtight container and you put food in there, you close the lid, you add the secret sauce, which is Bokashi BRAN, and you allow it to sit in an anaerobic condition. The key ingredient when it comes to Bokashi composting is this. This is the most important thing. This right here is your actual Bokashi BRAN, okay? Now, this comes from an amazing company that I rock with, super tough, SD Microbes out of San Diego. Shout out SD Microbes. This comes from my buddy Marco, Microbes by Marco. I'll put a link down below this video to both of these companies. I think both of these products are amazing products. If I talk about it in the videos and you hear me shout them out, then you know it's a great product, okay? This is the secret whenever it comes to Bokashi composting, okay? Now, Bokashi composting is the idea of adding a BRAN. So, what is Bokashi BRAN? Bokashi BRAN is a brand that has been inoculated with two main things. The first and most important thing that it is inoculated with is lactobacillus, or lab. You can scroll down underneath this video and go to how to make lab and what is lab, all right? So, like I said, what is Bokashi BRAN? Bokashi BRAN is a brand that has been inoculated with lactobacillus and also been inoculated with indigenous microorganisms, or IMO, okay? So when we put this Bokashi BRAN, what happens is the lactobacillus begin to, in a sense, pre-compost or break down the food scraps. Now, they don't break it down in the same way that you might be thinking whenever you think about composting. What basically happens is in a sense, they ferment the products. They ferment the food scraps that are within our bin, okay? Now, these fermented food scraps, because they've come in contact with the BRAN that is inoculated with the lactobacillus. Whenever we take them out of our Bokashi composting system and we add them to our compost bin or our soil or our vermicomposting bin, what happens is break down and compost extremely quickly. So don't think about Bokashi composting as a way to replace traditional composting, because for the most part it won't. But what Bokashi composting can do is help you speed up your composting time. Cool. So if you've never been to this Big City Gardener channel, I try to break down this information in a way that is easy and understandable for everybody. That's my goal. I don't think that gardening or anything associated with gardening should be so scientific that it makes your head spin. I think that anybody, regardless of your age, regardless of your knowledge, regardless of what your actual day job is, should be able to grow, is able to grow. So that's what we do here on this channel.